There's a belief most high-performing leaders carry into bed with them every night. It doesn't announce itself. It just runs quietly underneath everything. And it sounds completely reasonable. I have to sleep. If I don't sleep, I won't be my best. And if I'm not at my best, things will fall apart. Of course it sounds reasonable. Because most of the time, it's true. You carry a lot. Decisions that affect people. Rooms that take their cue from you. Mornings that begin before most people are awake. Sleep isn't a luxury for you. It's an operational requirement. So when you wake at 3 a.m. and you lie there, and the ceiling offers nothing, the first thing your mind does is the only thing it knows how to do. It starts solving. I need to get back to sleep. I have a 7 a.m. call. I have to be sharp for the board. Oh, if I lose another 2 hours, I'll be off all day. How many hours do I have left if I fall asleep right now? Okay, now fewer. Now fewer still. The math starts. And beneath the math, a familiar pressure. The same pressure that makes you effective during the day. Urgency, consequence, the felt sense that something is at stake. It followed you to bed. And you don't notice it as a problem because it's always been a feature. And for some of you, none of that is the experience. There's no racing, no math, no replay of the day, just awake. A quiet hum, a restlessness with no name attached to it. Nothing to solve because there's nothing there. And somehow, that's worse. Because at least a thought gives you something to work with. That's not a different form of what I just described. That's the same system. And somehow, that's worse. Because at least a thought gives you something to work with. This is just on. That's not different from what I just described. It's the same system running without content. Activation without a story. A body staying ready for a threat it can no longer locate. The mind went quiet, but the signal didn't. This is a kind of common sense almost no one questions. The mind's job is to solve. So when something feels like a problem, the mind begins solving. That's not a character flaw. That's years of it working exactly as designed. High-performing minds don't go quiet when the lights go out. They do what they've always done. They scan for what needs handling, and they handle it. And lying there at 3 a.m., mind racing, body restless, the night half gone, that feels like exactly the kind of thing that needs handling. So, we handle it. Here's what I want you to notice. The solving feels like it's working towards sleep. But the solving is built from urgency. And urgency is a signal to the nervous system that something is wrong and something needs to be managed. That now is not the time to rest. So every time the mind calculates how many hours are left, every time it runs through tomorrow's demands, every time it tries to figure out how to fall back asleep, it is doing the one thing that makes sleep biologically impossible. It's telling the body, we're not safe yet, stay ready. There's a phrase that shows up often in these conversations. I just can't shut my brain off. And it's offered as a description of the problem, as if the brain is misbehaving, as if the solution is a quieter, more obedient mind. But here's what's actually happening. The brain isn't malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it was trained to do in exactly the environment you've given it. You have spent years, possibly decades, rewarding a mind that stays on, that anticipates, that stays ahead of the next thing. That mind didn't create a problem, it created success. And now at 3 a.m., it's still doing its job. The question worth sitting with, not solving, just noticing, is this. What does it mean that the system I built for performance doesn't know how to stop? This is where it gets interesting. Because most approaches to the 3 a.m. problem are built on the same logic that created it. We try techniques, we try apps, we try breathing patterns and supplements and sleep hygiene protocols. And some of those things help. Sometimes. But notice what they have in common. They are all things to do. They are all efforts to solve. They are all, in some quiet way, the same urgency in a different form. I need this to work. I need to fall asleep. I need to be ready tomorrow. The target changes. The pressure doesn't. There's a different orientation. Not a technique, not a protocol, just a different way of being in the 3 a.m. moment. What if the point isn't to get back to sleep? What if the point is simply to stop treating wakefulness as a problem? Not because it isn't inconvenient, not because tomorrow doesn't matter, but because the moment you declare the situation a problem to be solved, you activate the same system that's keeping you awake. The solving is the noise. And the more solving doesn't quiet the noise, it amplifies it. Most leaders have almost no practice with this. Not because they lack discipline, because everything in their environment has confirmed that urgency is the appropriate response to consequence. Act fast, stay ready, handle it. That's the wiring. And it's good wiring in the right context. The 3 a.m. moment asks something different. It asks you to be present with what is. Not as a mindfulness exercise, not as a performance technique, but because the body cannot rest while the mind is running threat assessments. Not because you decided it, because that's how the nervous system works. Here's an image that's been useful. Think about what it means to hold something tightly. A pen, a steering wheel, a decision you're not ready to make. Grip requires activation. Sustained grip requires sustained activation. And what we do at 3 a.m., the reviewing, the anticipating, the calculating, is a kind of grip. We are holding tomorrow tightly so it doesn't slip. But the body can't restore itself while it's gripping. Restoration requires release. And release feels, to a high-performing nervous system, a lot like losing control. That's not weakness. That's the cost of wiring. The leaders who sleep well, and I've worked with enough of them to say this plainly, are not the ones who care less. They are not less invested in tomorrow. They are not more relaxed about consequences. What's different is more subtle. They've learned, somewhere along the way, to let the night be the night. Not through discipline, not through superior self-control, but because they've encountered enough 3 a.m. moments to recognize the grip and to know that tightening it has never once made morning arrive faster. I will leave you with a question that tends to matter more than any technique. It's not, how do I get back to sleep? But is it possible for me to be okay right now, even if I'm not sleeping right now? The grip doesn't loosen through force. It loosens when there's nothing left to defend against. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, just recognizing the grip is enough to let one finger open. You don't need to fix this tonight. You don't need to take this anywhere. Nothing has gone wrong. If this has landed somewhere real for you, there's more to explore. The link in the description will take you to another resource when you're ready.